What do I want? It's a question that everyone eventually has to ask themselves. The key motivator for every action taken. The cause behind every effect. So, what do I want? I want to go to a sporting event in every major venue. I want to grow within my relationships with my friends and my family. I want the freedom to create without the fear of failure. I want to dream without being hindered by reality. I want to chase new passions, new experiences, and new goals. I want OldMilk to branch out of the box and try new things. I'm accomplishing some of these goals right now, and I know what I need to do to achieve the rest of them. However, the one thing you should take away from this commercial is, I want you to buy OldMilk merch. Alrighty. Ready for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I took an extra day of work on Friday because normally I get Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but they're paying me double to work on Friday. So really, it's just I have Thursday off, so I'm excited for that. But besides that, it's a pretty normal work week.
Yeah.
Except I know sources that I want to talk to aren't going to get back to me because they're taking the whole week off. So it's just going to be a slow week regardless.
Yeah, the scraping of the bottom of the barrel. It would be. I'm excited for football, honestly. I love the main reasons why I like Christmas and Thanksgiving is, I mean, aside from the food, is the fact that on Thanksgiving you get a full day of football, and on Christmas you get a full day of basketball, that's the part that I'm really excited for. 5 basketball games, and I will sit down and watch every single one of them and be able to tell you from front to back what happened. So I'm really excited for that.
This year we get both.
Yeah, on
And
Christmas.
NFL has 3 games on Christmas this year too.
Are they like good games though, or are they like the
I don't know, but
Jaguars
it's still like
versus?
it's still crazy to have like 8 games.
Yeah, no,
like
that is crazy. I will be locked in on basketball.
I'm gonna be out here by myself for Christmas. So I'm very excited.
Oh yeah,
to
you got
have that on.
Yeah, got lots of company.
Our cat is fucking. There's no way we could send her to a pet hotel 6 weeks after getting her. Like she would never forgive us.
She still it seems like she won the war between you and your former podcasting space.
Yeah, actually I like it. The lighting is better out here, and I like having kind of a variety, but it's more like I'm sitting on the couch, so I end up sitting down a lot, and then sometimes I end up back here, but whatever. I like the lighting out here is better. Yeah. The lighting out here is better anyways, so it's like,
hey man, you do the lighting over there is better. It's it's like I don't know. I don't even know what I was gonna say there. You got Broadway today to talk about. This is episode 330. This is technically 31 episodes because the first episode was 300, so you have to add the 1 to it. But yeah, episode 331. I mean, well, episode 31 with us. Yeah, I'm excited to close out the year. I feel like we're not doing. I'm excited for the Metro project, and I think that's it. I might be forgetting some, but the Metro project is probably. Absol said he was going to drop on the 16th of December, which will be 6 years since his last album. So I'm really excited for that as well. Yeah. Those are probably the only 2 left. What about you?
Yes, I don't like I said it last episode already, but like with how much came out this year, I already feel like stuff that came out in the first quarter, second quarter is like completely gone from my brain, from my, you know what I mean, from my memory space. But I mean, I'm obviously excited for both of those. I'm 6 years between Absol projects, and he's such like a thoughtful artist with the way he does sing anyway. So that'll be cool to hear. No matter who it is, it's always interesting when there's that long of a gap. Like 2 to 3 years is like, all right, yeah, it's been a while, but it's still like you don't really like Freddie Gibbs went from what 2020 to 2022 without a project. So it's like 2 years, and that's enough. I feel like that's like right in the perfect 2 to 3 is right in the perfect time to be like, all right, like there's enough time for them to have like live life and come back with some new stuff. 5 to 6 years though is when it starts to be like, all right, like what, like something happened.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's like, it's like, no, there's a reason that they were gone this long. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see what Absol has to say. I know I can't remember the name of the track that came out. There was a video that came out, I think last week or the week before. That was pretty powerful. That was on Twitter, was blowing up about it. But yeah, there's been a
Yeah.
lot, and that's a pretty good capper to the year, but there's just been so much this year.
Yeah, aside from Kendrick, Absol was my well technically now he'd be my favorite artist on TDE, so I'm really excited for that. I've always preferred him over like I obviously respect Schoolboy Q and J Rock, the main four of that Black Hippie quadruple, if you will. But Absol has always been someone who I always look forward to listening to. I always look forward to when the album is being announced in the first place. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna mark this down on my calendar, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really excited for that. But enough forecasting about the future. It's time to talk about what we have in front of us today, and that is Rod Wave. That is Taylor McLeod. I am Nate Sperlin. Welcome to the Cap Podcast. This is episode 330. Thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You don't have to do that now, but at some point during this great podcast episode, you may feel the need to do so. And for that, we say thank you. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Old Milk Media, and check out all the Old Milk content at oldmilk.co. That being said, Taylor, officially, because I realized that I ask you twice every single episode, but officially, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It was when I first moved to California, everyone at home on the East Coast was like, "Oh, it's gonna be warm all year. Like you can just go to the beach whenever, whatever, whatever." It was 35 when I woke up this morning, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm not complaining because like that's fine, and it's not gonna snow, so we get like all the best parts of fall weather without like you're not leading up to like a terrible winter. It's like no, I'm just gonna have fall until March or April, but it was 35 here, so I want to clarify that for the masses.
No pun intended. I got the
Oh,
chance.
I didn't.
I got the
Very
chance
good.
to break out my favorite coat. It's the biggest yellow one and it's huge. And there's so many pockets in it. So that's one of the bright sides to winter for me. It was like negative. Oh wait, not negative. It was like well, it might have been negative. It was like 20 degrees outside last night, and I had to go outside because I wanted a sweet tea from McDonald's. I realized that if you like order it, like you could get it with a lemon, whole new world opened up. Just a whole new possibilities, the universe. Like I'm ready to like this whole new world just opened up there. No ice, by the way, because then they diluted. But anyway, we're talking about Rod Wave, Jupiter's Diary, 7 Day Theory, 8 tracks, 21 minutes long, no features. Join the conversation in the comments below. That being said, Taylor, what did you think about this EP from Rod Wave?
You're gonna yell at me. You're gonna yell at me. It just sounds exactly not exactly like the project from earlier this year.
Mm.
I think Rod Wave is very good at making Rod Wave music, but as someone who is probably coming into him a little late, it it can tend to send yeah. It can tend to sound very similar. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about it, because sometimes like when we talk about, especially when it's like someone's favorite artist, it's easier to like understand, and I know he's one of your favorites, so I'm curious to hear what you think so I can find the places I need to, because to me it's really nice, and it's a very playable album, very listenable album. But after we got a project already this year, there is part of me that's like, what is different about this compared to the last one?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I think this could have been counted as a deluxe to Beautiful Mind, but I do appreciate the fact that he just we're done with Beautiful Mind. We're on to something new. I it bought like when Baby Keem a year later released the Melodic Blue Deluxe, that bothers me. It's been a year. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't mind it at the end of the year. Like Polo G did it last year with Hall of Fame, where he dropped Hall of Fame in like March or May, and then he comes in December with the deluxe. That's fine to me. At least keep it in the same year. But I do appreciate when artists, if you're gonna give us something more, give us something with a little bit more just put a little bit more thought into it instead of just calling something a deluxe just because, even though you probably had no intentions on making it a deluxe in the first place. Because if we're really being honest, if you had intentions on having that deluxe out, you probably would have dropped it a month or two after, not like months after. But that's neither here or there. I also think it's funny that you bring up the fact that you think that it sounds the same because I think, first of all, and this is me going full stand here, Rod Wave should only be addressed by four letters. He is one of the very few artists that we have who can successfully create a body of work with no features and all of it sound amazing, all of it makes sense, nothing be out of place. He's one of the few, and that's rare within itself. um I think a comparison could be made. I love the show Phineas and Ferb. I think that's one of the best cartoons of all time. The reason why is because you know what's going to happen every single episode. You know that the boys are going to come up with some plan. Candace is going to get tight, going to try to snitch on them, and then they're going to somehow finagle their way out of it. And on top of that, you're going to have the Perry and Doofenshmirtz thing, Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. That you're gonna have that, and then that's really the episode. But it still keeps your attention, even though you know exactly what's gonna happen. It's just how is it gonna happen? And I feel the same way about Rod Wave from the standpoint of you know that there's going to be a sample of some sort on each song. You know that he's going to sing, and then it's going to lead up to a part where he does what very few artists can do. He belts out that he's able to mix that passionate singing with the softer side as well. And I think that we were talking about Beautiful Mind. Obviously, we were talking about Beautiful Mind, and on that album, it kind of had to grow on me a little because I wasn't used to that much soft side Rod Wave. Now we have a second dose of it, and now I'm used to it because I've been listening to Beautiful Mind ever since it came out. And because of that, I can digest this project way easier than I did Beautiful Mind. Not that it was hard to digest that in the first place. So I appreciate that. That I think that there's some type of um analogy to be made between Rod Wave and Phineas and Ferb in that sense. Again, I'm not saying that just to be like I'm not saying that Rod Wave is the GOAT just to be um just try to get a reaction out of people or whatever. As far as I'm concerned, he has a bulletproof discography. He doesn't have a trash album in there. Even when you go back and you listen to the albums where you could tell that he was still trying to figure it out before he really got his big break, you could still see that it was clear that the talent was there, and it shines way brighter than so many of our favorite artists now. If you go back and look at their previous work, um, when we get to the EP, there's no holes in the EP. The beat selection is immaculate. I think that we need to start acknowledging TNT XD as one of the best producers in rap because he produces a lot of the Rod Wave beats. He also produces a lot for NBA YoungBoy and other artists. But those are just the two biggest ones, if you will. The beat selection here is immaculate. Rod Wave is the best artist right now in hip hop at selecting beats with samples. Break My Heart samples Love Me More by Sam Smith. Jupiter's Diary samples Paper Airplanes by Ruth B. And MJ Story samples Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. And in MJ Story, he actually makes a reference to the song saying, I was such a teenage dirtbag out breaking your shit. So right there, you see the intentionality with everything that he does with just that one line on that song. Additionally, back to TNTXD, he produced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He produced 5 tracks on this project. All 5 tracks are really well. All the tracks are really good, but just to highlight the producer side of it as well. Additionally, Rod's voice control again is reaching another level. The way that he's able to mix the softer side with the passionate side is, as far as I'm concerned, especially in hip hop, unmatched. If you want to go into other genres, sure, you could probably find, you could find other artists who may be on the same level. But for Rod Wave to be considered a rapper and have that type of talent, that type of talent that doesn't put him in the box of just a rapper is amazing to me. But then also on the other side of that, you also have the rapping, which is a perfect complement to the singing, but the rapping within itself is still good enough to where if he didn't have the singing, he'd still be a really good artist. MJ Story is probably my favorite track of November so far. I've been playing it ever since. Every time I listen to this album, I get to MJ Story, which I believe is track 6, and I have to replay it over again because it's literally my favorite song. I love the part when he's like, "Oh, there go the youngin, lights, camera, action, baby girl, go home. I'm gonna call you when I'm landing. You don't want to be here when them cameras get to flashing. 2022, Michael Jordan Jackson. Yeah, Rod, talk your shit. You're that guy. Talk your shit." And I think that there's so many levels to Rod Wave in terms of you have the Rod Wave who talks about love. You also have the Rod Wave who doesn't really show up as much talking his shit or just straight up rapping about stuff that goes on in the hood, stuff that he did when before he was a superstar in the first place. So to get all of that together on this project is really just a victory lap for the amazing 2022 that he had. And I'm just excited to see what comes next from Rod Wave.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of respect for what this project is, especially with I love the album cover. I think the album art is really good. Um when I first saw it, I was like, I couldn't decide if I was like, all right, is this like corny or is this good? And then like the more I sit with it and the more I play the album and like look at it and whatever, it's good. I really, really enjoy the album art. And I also like what I said about it sounding a lot like Beautiful Mind. That's what like a mixtape is sometimes. It follows up an album is like the stuff that didn't necessarily make it. And I don't know if these songs are that. I don't know if these were intended for Beautiful Mind and then got cut, or if they were part of a group of songs that he was selecting from and these got kind of pushed to this. But for someone who always, expresses nostalgia for the mixtape era, obviously things are presented differently now, but like this is that. It's an offshoot. It's not the main show. So I have a lot of respect for it and that. And I think part of it too is just like as I definitely have like a preference or a bias for like West Coast rap and Northeast rap. And that's where a lot of my listening happens. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
from Toronto to New York City, like there's that's like a pretty big chunk of what I end up listening to. And then like a lot of California rap. So it's like sometimes I feel like I get into these mixtapes and I'm just not in the right space to hear like a very like melodic singing project because I'm like, and especially with it getting colder and winter coming, I'm like strictly listening to like Benny, Conway, Drake, like old Jay-Z. So it's like I'm in such a mode right now where it's like I'm only playing one certain thing. And so like I feel like this project will grow on me. And it is like I said, it's really nice. And I think Rod Wave is one of the better artists right now out in my opinion at making music at making a product that like you can sing along to. It makes you feel something, and it's not so much like, all right, like I need to lock in so I catch every single line. And that's not a knock or anything. Like I think it's complimentary. I think that it's really important to have that because even though the conversation got away from lyrics for a long time, I think it's pushing back towards lyrics, but in not in the same way like you and I were younger and it was like, no, I want bars. Now it's like, well, are the lyrics like messy? Or do they call like every song is a diss track and every song is, you know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think that as the focus gets on, as the focus shifts to music that can be captured by a single screenshot of a genius transcription of a song and post it on Twitter, and that's the whole song. Like people don't even listen to it; they only know it from that screenshot. I think there's something to be said for someone like Rod Wave who's making music, and you
Yeah.
can hear it. Like I said this when we talked about Beautiful Mind, but you can hear it. Like he's really there for this. Like this is not. There's no ulterior motives with this. Like he's making music because he you can tell he loves making music. He's extremely talented, and music is what he should be doing. So I can appreciate all that. And I think sometimes it's okay to admit and okay to be like, hey, this one's not necessarily for me.
Mhm.
It's not like a knock. It's not a I'm swearing this off. I'm never listening to this again. But like right now, it's just especially with so much that's come out and like thinking about end of the year lists and stuff like that. It's just like this one doesn't fit with what I'm listening to right now, but that doesn't make it any better or any worse. So I
The-
I think there's a lot to respect with Rod Wave. It's
mhm.
just yeah,
There's such a power in being able to admit that something isn't for you versus just calling it trash or something like that. Like I think um there have been plenty of projects that I've listened to and I'm like, okay, like there's a difference between trash and not for you. And I don't think people really understand that. Like, I'm not gonna try to call out names, but like trash is like when it doesn't musically make sense. If something's not for you, it's like it makes sense musically, but it just doesn't appeal to you. And I think that people really just combine those two terms together and they're like, oh, you like this artist is trash. And it's like, well, if you actually take a step back out of your opinion and you just analyze what's going on in this music, you can see how this artist is able to gather a fan base and why his fan base appreciates, why his or her fan base appreciates that music. I think Rod Wave is one of those people where if you look at it traditionally from the standpoint of a rapper traditionally, you're like, okay, he does half the time he's not rapping. What the fuck is this? And it's like,
right.
okay, well, that's true, but at the same time, it's like you have to take into account the totality of the artist in the same way when you look at baseball, you have to take into account the totality of Shohei Ohtani. You can't just say, oh, he's a hitter, he's a batter. No, he's both. So you need to understand that you have to take all of that into account. And I think that Rod Wave was one of those artists. And it also just puts him in another category because I think that there are some artists that you can say for sure this is a rapper. And there's a difference between a rapper and an artist from the standpoint of a rapper is someone where there really just could be in one genre, which is hip hop, obviously. But an artist is someone who, sure, they may primarily spend their time in hip hop, but they're not chained down. They're not bogged down by that title. They can go other places, and we can see that with Young Thug, Future, Rod Wave, Young Boy, Juice World, Lil Uzi. All these artists that we recognize as greats have that one thing in common, which is the fact that yes, they are primarily hip hop artists, but Thug makes a country album, Future can make an R&B album, Lil Uzi can make a rock album, etc., etc. Rod Wave is in that category, and because of that, I feel like I have a because he's consistently shown his ability to keep doing that. I have to put him in that same category, and all the artists that I just named, we both hold them in high regard. So Rod Wave has to be there too. And I think it's just more so about contextualizing what we're really witnessing here, because I think that it can get lost from a standpoint of we are from the Northeast. It's cold. People want bars right now. I still want the sun out. I still want to feel like it's warm. And that's why I appreciate the Rod Wave music so much because I can feel like even though I don't really plan on going to Florida like that, I can still feel that Florida energy in there, and that's really all I like, and that's enough for me to go through my day when it's 20 degrees outside and still have a blast. And for
Yeah.
that, Rod Wave is amazing. But what are your favorite tracks?
Favorite tracks. I like number 2, Got It Right a lot. I think MJ Story is great. I agree with you there. And then Don't Need with the Popstar Benny production. I
Yo.
really love that. I think that his sound is just so it's so it takes a lot of elements of like what's happening right now, but
Mm-hmm.
adds in a very much like a texture that's his own. And I like and like the tags in the beginning and everything. He just creates a really nice product for a musician to get on. And if you follow him on Twitter, his like the saga with him and Rod Wave is hilarious.
Oh, I gotta
Like
go.
him, you
Send me
have
that.
to.
Send me that.
Him trying to get beats to Rod Wave, like they're like friends. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they've been in contact for like 4 years or something like that. And he like tweeted out a screenshot of like Rod Wave like finally sent a song back to him that was like, hey, I actually chose this beat and it didn't just pop up on a tape or a project. and then like on top it's like Rod Wave number 4 because like the numbers change so many times, and it's hilarious. But yeah, so those 3 got it right. MJ story, don't need.
Yeah, don't need the base pattern on don't need is just so amazing. Like it just brings me back to I think that I'm not really sure where we are in hip hop now, but I know that it's not as base reliant as it was maybe 2, 3 years ago. And that base pattern on don't need, and then you have Rod Wave coming in with the baby, when you gonna see that I'm the one for you? I messed up. It's not the lyrics, but that's basically what he's trying to get across, and I love that part as well. I got it right. Love overdose. MJ story. Don't need, but really, there's no skips here. Just a perfect victory lap. This is how you do a victory lap. Um, so share your thoughts about Jupiter's Diary, 7 Day Story, Statement, 7 Day Theory. I always mess it up. I always mess up like at the end. But anyway, Jupiter's Diary, 7 Day Theory in the comments below. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This has been episode 330 of the Cat Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media. That is Taylor McLeod. I am Nate Sperlin. Happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you when hip hop tells us to. We're out.